Good morning, girls. These are the notes today on the cosine rule. So, first what we'll do is just do a quick recap about what we've covered. If you look back to your notes from last lesson, we looked at triangles when they're not right angles, or when we can't tell if they're a right angle or not, and we use the sine rule. So that one of the key concepts that we learnt from last lesson is that we need to label the triangle correctly. So the first thing you need to do is, if I'm labeling this length A, then angle A fits in here opposite where you've put the length. So then if I do the same for B, so if I'm calling this length B here, then my angle B sits up the top, so directly opposite length B. And the same for length C as well. So if I'm labeling this length C here, then angle C fits in here. Okay, so just to recap, whenever you're doing any questions that relate to triangles that aren't right angled, you need to make sure that you correctly label the triangle to then be able to solve the problem correctly as well. So let's have a look at our notes for today. We're looking at the cosine rule is used when we have a triangle that's not right angled, and when we've been given three lengths and we want to find one of the angles, or if we've been given two lengths and what we call the included angle. So it's the angle that relates to the length that is missing. So if you have a look at our first formula there, where we've got a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a, angle A relates to the missing length. So that's what we mean when we say the included angle. So obviously that first formula there is if we're trying to find length A, and the second formula, which is cos A equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared, all divided by 2bc, is when we're trying to find angle A. So what I suggest you do is just quickly pause the clip for a moment and write down those two key formulas, because that's really important for you to have in your notes before we do the test. Then when we flip to the next formulas that we've got, we're looking at, if we're trying to find length B, then that's the formula that b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cos b. And likewise, if we're trying to find angle B, then we have our cos b equals a squared plus c squared minus b squared, all divided by 2ac. And then we have again the same, if we're trying to find length C, there's our first formula that it's c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2bc cos of the angle C. And then if we're trying to find the angle C, then it's cos C equals a squared plus b squared minus c squared, all divided by 2ab. What I'd suggest you do is just pause the clip again and write down those formulas in your notes, and then we'll go on to looking at examples of how you can solve mathematical questions using these formulas. This is our first formula. Okay, the first thing we need to do is correctly label what we're trying to find. So I'm going to call this unknown length here the missing length, length B. And then we've got the other two that we need to label. So I'm going to label this one 12 centimeters is our length A, and 17 centimeters is my length C. And then obviously the angle of 58 degrees is equal to my angle B length. So we want to find length B. We've been given length A and length C, and we've been given angle B. So if you look back to your formula, we're going to use the b squared equals a squared minus c squared. Sorry, a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cos b. Now you'll notice here the formula that you wrote down is exactly the same, except the only difference is I've actually done the square root. So previously we wrote down b squared equals. You can also write it as b equals the square root of that formula that we've copied down. So just to recap quickly, the first thing you do is you need to label the triangle correctly. So label length A, length B, length C, and obviously B is the one we're going to find, and then label the angle that you've been given as well. So we've been given angle B. Once you've done that, write down the formula, just as you can see on the screen here. Then once you've done that, it's just a matter of putting in, instead of putting in angle B, length A and length C, you actually put in the values that we've got. So we know that A equals 12, C equals 17, and angle B is 58 degrees. So, ladies, at this point you need to pull out your graphics calculators and put that into your calculator, just the right-hand side of the equation, and then when you check your answers, you should get 14.72 centimeters is the length of length B, which is one that you were trying to find. Okay, so to recap again, first step, label your triangle with A, B, and C. Second step is write down the formula that you need to use. So in our case, it was B equals the square root of. Third step, put in the values instead of the letters. And then the final step is use your graphics calculator to solve. So the last example that is calculating an angle. So the first example was looking at calculating a length. The second one here is calculating an angle. And what the question here says is calculating the smallest angle in the triangle. So there's two ways that you could do this. The first way is you could calculate each angle in the triangle using the cosine rule to then find which one is the smallest, or you could deduce that the smallest length will correspond to the smallest angle. So I'm going to call the angle that relates to 9 millimeters as being angle C. Okay, and this is the angle that we're going to find. There is one other important piece of information when you're labeling the triangle, is that we've got 2.1 centimeters listed, and the rest of the units are in millimeters. So you need to change that centimeters into be millimeters. So you need to write down that the length is actually 21 millimeters, not centimeters. Then it's a matter of just labeling the rest of the triangle. So I'm going to call length C as my 9 millimeters. I'm going to call length B as being 21 millimeters, and I'm going to call length A as being 19 millimeters. So what we've done is we've labeled the triangle, and we've also changed the units to all be the same. Then the next step that you need to do is to write down the formula that you're going to use to solve it. So the formula that you're going to use is using the cosine of C formula, which is this one here. So in your books you would write down this formula, and then once you've done that, the next step is, instead of writing in the letters, is to write down the values that you've been given. So A equals 19, B equals 21, and length C is 9 millimeters. Then it's a matter of actually solving it, so taking out your graphics calculator and solving that, and then doing cos to the -1, so you actually get what the angle is. And when you've done that, just so you can check on your graphics calculator, your angle should be 25.38 degrees, or 25 degrees and 23 minutes. So, girls, I hope that makes sense. If you need to recap things, pause it and go back. Make sure you copy down the examples into your notes. The actual examples will be attached to the homework, which you can check on the intranet as well. Once you've done that, the questions that you need to solve are in 7D. And just to let you know, because so many people will be away on Thursday because of the psychology excursion, we will finish off this exercise on Thursday. So good luck, and I'll see you on Thursday.